All right, now that we have the vehicle all set up with inductive, we got a control pendant in the car, we have to do a load cell calibration on the dyno. We do this through software as well as adding a calibration arm and 100 pounds worth of weight. This is to calibrate the load cell, so when we measure horsepower, well, it's accurately measured and it gives us a proper output. This is going to be under our configuration tab, load cell calibration. Follow the prompts. It's going to tell you to remove the calibration arm and mass if installed, so just make sure there's nothing currently on your hub dynos. We're going to default it out, so it zeroes them out. We'll hit next. From here, index 0 will be our driver's side, and then index 2 will be our passenger side. We're going to input the mass that is stamped on our calibration arm, which is 502. And then we're going to go ahead and install the calibration arm and the mass, the 100 pounds worth of weight. Just make sure it's not vibrating. Just try to get it as stable as possible. And then you'll hit next to calibrate it. We're going to hit next again to calibrate our second torque cell. So I'm going to remove the weight and the arm from this side, and we're going to go ahead and go to the other side of the vehicle. Okay. Once we have this installed, we'll go back to the software and finalize our calibration. And as we can see, as soon as we hit next, now our load control torque for retarder number 2 is now at 502. We can hit finish. And we are all set. Remove the calibration arm and weights from the dyno, and we are ready to set up our first run and make a pass. We're going to go ahead and get our customer details inputted into our PowerCore software so we can have them in there for when we make our run. It's quite simple. We're going to go to our make run configuration, run file information, and we're going to input all these values here. This is obviously a Ford, model Mustang, years 2015, and customer's Dynojet. Once you have that information inputted, you can add optional fields if you need to, if you needed a subfolder, or any vehicle notes that you might have about the car, JLT intake, long tube exhaust, Whipple, so on and so forth. After this, you're going to go to your dyno configuration. Now these values might be defaulted at 0. The speed balance, set that to 10. Your load control speed balancing, you can enable it or disable it by unchecking this box. What speed balance does is in some cases where you have an open diff on the vehicle, we will transfer a certain amount of torque to one hub versus the other to try to keep both axles accelerating at the same rate of speed. So you can keep that enabled in most cases. Down here, you're going to want to set your brake start percent to 10, your brake ramp percent to 10, your brake ramp speed set to 1, and brake power factor set to 0.5. 0.5 is a good starting point for the brake power factor. You can try 0.4 as well. That's worked well for me. And what these other values do is this is the minimum allowed brake percent. So what this is doing is applying 10% duty cycle on the brakes at all times. This is also very good for open diff vehicles. It forces the vehicle itself to transfer power to the other axle and allow it to accelerate at the same rate of speed. What we need to do right now though for this car is we have to calibrate our speed sensor. You have to make sure you calibrate the speed sensor for every vehicle that goes on the dyno. Our acceleration rate calculation will be incorrect. So let's go through that process now. This is quite simple. We are going to get the vehicle's tire size, and this one is a 275/40/19. We're going to hit calculate, and then we're going to hit calibrate. Now our vehicle speed calibration is now completed. From here, we're going to configure our run. This is where we'll go to set up the specific tests we'd like for this vehicle. In most cases, you're going to do a sweep test, but we also have manually controlling the dyno, which is if I want to just apply a certain amount of brake or hold it in steady state, basically manual control. I just want to do something specific for the car. We have our sweep test, which is an acceleration-based run. We can do this over speed or engine speed. And this is what you'll hold the vehicle over a certain amount of time. So I say I want a 12-second dyno run and I want an acceleration rate of 7.5 mile per hour per second. That's the type of run we're going to perform here. And this is why speedo calibration is very important. The next type of runs you can do is also a step test. This is where you would hold a specific RPM or speed for a certain amount of time, allowing the dyno to gradually move you to another step size, so say 250 RPM or 10 mile an hour, and it will move you through an entire step test. Then we have a custom test. This is a very nice test to have, to where we can do a custom road load profile based off of vehicle dynamics, or we can have also a custom test based off of previous run data and load control duty cycle. What I like to do in this is I like to hold the vehicle in steady state at a desired target, then switch to a custom road load profile based off of speed and percent duty cycle based off of previous acceleration rate runs. And what that does is it allows the brake to smoothly control the run for more repeatability. So it does the same exact thing, run to run to run to run to run. So, you know, like Dynojet is known for having repeatability, consistency, you know, A to B comparison type dynos, the measuring stick never changes. Well, when you do a custom road load profile based off the same rate of acceleration over again, the hub dynos are also consistent and repeatable. Your measuring stick is now never changing. It's always 12 inches long. The car is the only variable when you're on the hub dyno when you do this type of test. So this is a test that I like to perform, which we'll also perform one of these during a little bit of a training session here. All right, so we're gonna go back to the test that we're gonna perform to get our baseline on the car, which is gonna be a sweep test. We're gonna hold this vehicle at a specific engine speed. We're gonna start it at 2,500 RPM, 2.5. We're gonna end it at 7.3. The gear ratio in this car, I wanna say, is 315, so we're good there. We're gonna calculate our acceleration rate, which gives us a 12.5398. Our run duration, we're gonna say on this one, is gonna be right around 12 seconds long. Let's calculate the accel one more time. Now it's a 10.4498 mile per hour per second. We're gonna hit OK. We're gonna hit OK again. And now, as you can see, our load control icon is now at 2,500 RPM. That is gonna be our start point. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna start rolling the vehicle up to that target, and it's gonna hold me in steady state at 2,500 RPM. I'm gonna gradually increase my throttle to half, and if it can take more, I'll go to wide open throttle, and then we'll start our sample. All right, so now we are literally ready to make a dyno run. We're gonna go ahead and go over a control pendant, and then we'll make a pass. For those of you that are not familiar with Dynojet dynamometers, this is our control pendant. This is how we control the dyno from within inside the car. We have our green button for sampling. We have our red button for brake, yellow icon for load control. These up and down arrows, these are for controlling the step size of load control if we want to control RPM or load control duty cycle on the fly within the vehicle. And these other arrows are for saving the dyno run or resetting the type of test that we've already completed so we can do another. In most cases, on a hub dyno, we do not need to use the red button for the brake. It will apply 100% duty cycle to the hubs and it'll bring it to an abrupt stop. Most cases, once you're done with a run, you can just lift, throw the vehicle in neutral, and the hubs will come pretty much to a stop. All right, from here, we're gonna go ahead and roll it up, get to our target RPM at 2,500, and we're gonna make our sweep pass. So, you know, you start it off in first gear. What you can also do is get it into your one-to-one gear right away. Since there's not much inertia on these hubs, it can pretty much roll itself out. So we get up to our target, gradually accelerate to your target. Don't just mat the throttle, don't just go wide open. Gradually roll up to our target at 2,500. As you can see, the brakes are coming online. Duty cycle's coming up. We're rolling into the car. It's bringing us down, start our sample, and go. Neutral, save the run, through in neutral, and you're done. That's an initial dyno run for the Vector X 4000 hub dyno.
After you've made your dyno runs, and you want to make back-to-back pulls, if you use this down button, what it's going to do is it's going to reset the run. As you see, there's a tab right next to load test and make run configuration. That resets the test. So as an example, I'm going to make a pass on the car, and you're going to see that my load control icon will no longer be at 2,500 RPM until we reset the test. So we're going to go ahead and go through that to show you how that works.
Save the run and pull it up. And as we can see, there's no load control icon now at 2,500 RPM because the test hasn't completed. And the reason for this is so that when you stop the sample, we don't turn off load control at the end of the run and have a runaway condition of the car. We want to make sure load control stays all the way on until the vehicle comes back to a complete stop, so you don't have a, an over-rev condition because the brakes turned off at the end of the run. To reset this, just hit the bottom arrow down. And as you can see, now the load control icon comes back up online at 2500, and we're ready to make our follow-up pull. All right, so as you can see, we've made some passes on the vehicle. This particular car made right around 383 on its peak. Over the passes that we made, it's a bone stock Mustang, nothing really too spectacular about it. Now we can look at our horsepower torque over engine RPM. We can look at it over speed. So as you can see, the time was roughly 12 seconds long, what we asked for in the config. We wanted a 12-second run. If you wanted to extend the run time to say 13 or 14 seconds because you needed it to be a longer pass, you can do that, or you can shorten it as well. It's all going to be in the brakes and how they work to get you at that, that target time frame for your pass and what acceleration rate it needs to use to do that.